Welcome everybody to That Girl Casey, where we are still discussing HR 5376, better known as the Inflation Reduction Act, but formerly known as the Build Back Better Act. Today, Joe Biden officially signed in the Inflation Reduction Act. And it comes with a bunch of false promises. So in this segment, we're going to talk about some of the medical stuff that it promises. So here we go. Let's read this whole bill together. No, I'm only playing. We're not going to do that. But you see, this is the long explanation about how Medicare is going to be covering people's prescription prices and negotiating prescription prices. Okay, I just want y'all to take us to look at this to see that I have been pulling this bill up and trying to make it make as much sense as possible. I'm also using articles to break it down even more. So what it does is it pretty much leaves for Medicare to negotiate prices with drug companies. So here's the thing. We're not all on Medicare as an insurance. Those of us who have private insurance, we're not going to see the discount. And also it leaves it to the Secretary of Health to determine which drugs they're going to start negotiating prices on. There we go again with leaving it to a person. So we have CNBC saying passage of the Inflation Reduction Act gives Medicare historic new powers over drug prices. I mean, look, I just told you, right? And they don't say which drug. And we're just going to look at the key points. Medicare is gaining power to negotiate prices for certain drugs and punish pharmaceutical companies that don't play by the rules. Okay, so the legislation represents a historic expansion of Medicare's power that was fiercely opposed by the pharmaceutical industry. But the negotiation powers are limited in scope, and some lawmakers argue that legislation doesn't go far enough. It starts at 2025 to 2026. People won't really see the results of this until about around 2026. And so there we go. The program is phased in 4 stages over several years. Here's how it works. HHS negotiates 10 Medicare Part D drugs. Prices take effect in 2026. You see phase 2 is 2027, phase 3 is 2028, and phase 4 is 2029. By the way, if you have not subscribed yet to this channel, please subscribe. On this channel, we talk about what's going on in real time, and we basically debunk the lies. Okay, so that's what we do here. The last administration had an answer for our insulin issues. Biden administration rescinds Trump administration's insulin pricing rule. This was written back in 2021. One of the final healthcare actions made by the Trump administration has been rescinded by the Biden administration. On December 23rd, 2020, the Trump administration finalized a rule that directed the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, to take action to require that federally qualified health centers make insulin and injectable epinephrine available to certain patients at 340B prices. So basically what this meant was if you were like low income, if you were low income going to certain health centers to get the meds, they had to make it affordable. Okay. Around that time, EpiPens, I remember they were like $600 to have one, but they were only like $7 to make. I'm loosely quoting, but that was the egregious, like it was an egregious expansion from, it was crazy. It was. Well, he rescinded that. And so now he took that away. And then he said, and why did they do that? Well, because there was excessive administrative costs and burdens on health centers to try to make this happen. Here's a little nugget that a lot of people aren't going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it because it means something to me. It's called Pathway to Medical Practicing. In the Build Back Better bill, which this is being funded in this IRA, the Pathway to Practice training programs. GNYHA is grateful to House Ways and Means committees for including Pathway to Practice training programs in budget reconciliation legislation. Yup. Pathway to Practice programs. These programs would address healthcare provider shortages in rural and underserved areas, enhance graduate medical education, and further diversify the physician workforce. All right. In order to get the scholarships to go to certain schools and then kind of like do a fast track learning, okay, you have to come from like an underserved, underprivileged community. You know what I mean? Because we want to diversify physicians. You know what I'm saying? Because we would need more representation. No, I am totally against this. Yes, I am. They have to agree to work a year in like an underserved community, the hood, okay, and rural areas, okay? And they have to agree to work there for a year. What happens with this? I'm totally against this. Number one, there's certain things that it's not about, my representation. No, certain things are absolute and need to be treated as such, like healthcare, okay? I don't care if it's a hospital full of white doctors, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to do ethically and correctly. Okay. The fact is, learning how to keep people alive and taking care of people is not to be trifled with, it's not to be made a social justice topic. You need the best of the best people who are going to take the knowledge and the skill, put it together, and give the best quality of care possible. There's a new thing going on in medicine. This will promote this. University standards for medical schools fuel woke healthcare debate. A leading medical school association's university curriculum has sparked claims of discrimination against straight white male doctors among conservative medical groups. The Association of American Medical Colleges Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Competencies across the learning continuum, published this month, advises faculty and administrators on how to make students consider their identity, power, and privilege when treating patients. I mean, students training under the new standards will be required to master concepts of oppression, white privilege, social risk factors, race as a social construct, colonialism, and intersectionality, how one's personal identities, biases, and lived experiences influence clinical practice. So this is the type of stuff that this bill will definitely promote, because we need a bunch of diversity and representation. No. What I just read to you there is blasphemous to me in the medical industry. And it makes me just want to get out of here faster, because I don't need anybody treating patients, triaging, and worrying about, well, I have white privilege, so then I'm not oppressed. This is basically, first of all, telling people that when you get people that are not white, they are automatically oppressed, and you need to, they might not know certain words, they might not understand how to do you need to treat people on an individual basis. But I saw this coming. I did, because they started pushing this cultural competence at work all the time. It's like cultural competence. You need to learn, different groups do different things and everything. And I just used to think, like, that's so absolute, like it just is. I'm like, I just feel like you should know certain things, but like really treat people with the best quality of care, ask questions, and just listen and be compassionate. But when you treat, medicine does not have time for all of this colonialism. There are certain doctors who, I have to keep it real, will not listen to a minority because they just think they just want something. We need to deal with those doctors accordingly, or nurses, or whoever, instead of redoing this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? We're not dealing with the person who's the problem. We're dealing with the whole system. Unacceptable. I'm telling you, this bill is the doctrine for destruction. That's what I call it. So, guys, I wanted to bring that to you. So you want to know what this means? This means that now, going forward, start really take care of yourself, myself included. Take your vitamins. Be the best you that you can be, because you really, if Western medication was already an issue sometimes, like now, I don't know, it sounds like a social club. And that's not what it's supposed to be. We always keep it real on this channel. We talk about the inconvenient truth. It may come out harsh, but it is the inconvenient truth. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Bye.